If I were to ask you guys, what are iconic firearms of the global war on terrorism, the GWOT wars? Would you think about, I don't know, the M4, M4A1 variants, the standard issue firearm? Would you think about the M16A4 in Fallujah with the Marines? What if I were to tailor this question down even further? What about iconic firearms that the Navy SEALs use? And I would have to say there are going to be two that are going to come up probably the most. The Mark 12 Mod 1 SPR, Special Purpose Rifle, and today's rifle, the Mark 18 Mod 1. Let's get into it. Why, hello, fellow marksmen and markswomen. Welcome to Marksmanship Past and Present. We have a Mark 18. You know this. You clicked the video because you probably are very curious about the Mark 18, which, if you are, you probably should subscribe. You're going to like this kind of content that we do. We talk about the history and the relevance of firearms, both new and old, marksmanship past and present. Also, the YouTube algorithm, it sucks. They don't like guns. They definitely don't like me because I talk about guns. They probably don't like you guys because you guys watch videos about guns. I mean, let's be real. They're pretty terrible. So join me, like the video, share the video, get it out there so we can kick that YouTube algorithm in the face. So now that we got the YouTube administrative stuff out of the way, what is a Mark 18? What the heck does Mod 1 mean? Will that little itty bitty 10.3-inch barrel actually get out to some distance? Why was this thing developed? These are all really good questions, and these are all questions that I really wanted to kind of hit on. That and is the Mark 18 still relevant? Before we go to the range and actually kind of test these principles, test it up close, test it far away, the maneuverability, accuracy, things like that, we got to take a step back. We got to understand where it came from, why was it developed, what was the mindset behind it, and what was this rifle's job. So with that, let's get into some history. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and go into some history and some variations of this little carbine. So how the Mark 18 kind of got its start was in the late 90s, the Navy kind of realized they had a problem or a concern, shall we say. And that was that if they were having to deal with any boarding parties or anything like that, they realized that their little 9mm MP5 submachine gun was a bit underpowered. But on the other end of the spectrum, their M16s and maybe some M4s at the time were a bit too long, a bit too cumbersome. So they're like, could we shorten the M16 M4 any? And well, the problem with that is when you go to just shorten stuff down, there's a lot of testing and a lot of studying and how will it work? Will it work in all conditions? Fortunately for them, there was a program that was already going on that was already exploring this. And that was the SOPMOD program that was being done by the Special Operations Command. Now, they started looking at that stuff, and they were kind of overall looking at how effective and modular that the M4 is by just swapping out uppers and parts and pieces and doing this, and how can you make it fit different environments. One of those things that was in there was called the CQBR, or the Close Quarters Battle Receiver. So the Navy's like, we're liking that, and all the science is already done. All right, we're going to kind of explore that a little bit. Then the CQBR was dropped from the SOPMOD program. So the Navy's like, okay, well, we'll continuing development on our own. So NSWC, or Naval Surface Warfare Center, Crane, took up on that project. And it then morphed into the very first standalone rifle that the Navy designated as the Mark 12 Mod 0. Now, Mod just means an iteration. So just to kind of clarify that up, Mark 18 is the model, Mod 0 is like your first gen, second gen, so on and so forth. So the Mark 18 Mod 0, well, what is it? Essentially, it's a shortened M4 with a widened gas port. Still got the A-frame tower sight / gas block, still's got the Knights rail like on that M4, and that's pretty much it. Just a shorter barrel, widened gas port to help with the shortened dwell time. Cool, right? So they adopted it. Then later on, by the way, this was in the mid-2000s or early 2000s that they'd adopted this. Then Daniel Defense came out with this nice new innovation, and they made a free float rail for this carbine, and that is the Viz 2 that is on our rifle today. Now the Viz 2 is actually really cool because, and I've got up close pictures that I'll include, it's got 3 screws on each side that attach into the rail, and those screws are going into the barrel nut. So this rail never touches this barrel. So you're getting a whole lot more accuracy out of that, and then you ditch that A-frame front sight, goes down to a low profile gas block. Now you can have flip up backups that allow you to run the gun solely with optics and not having a big old chunk of metal in your sight picture. So that's really cool. Then they have the Mark 18 Mod URGI, or the Mark 18 URGI. Basically all that is the exact same thing as the Mod 1, but now it's got a Geisley M-LOK rail, so the M-LOK just gets rid of, let me grab my Mark 18 again, gets rid of all the Picatinny slots and basically makes it M-LOK so you can attach pick rails. It's very durable, very secure. I love M-LOK. And then be able to tailor it to whatever optics without having to have a whole bunch of unused Picatinny slots that are adding weight and getting snagged on stuff. So those are your iterations. Let's take a quick second. Let's talk about ammunition that was issued with our Mark 18 here. So this actually goes all the way back to the early 2000s. The military as a whole, across all branches, just were not quite happy with that M855 62 grain steel core round that we all know today. They just weren't happy with the terminal performance of it. So an SWC Crane was like, here's a message out to all the ammo manufacturers. Come up with something. Here's what we're looking for. And long story short, Black Hills Ammunition came to the plate and were like, hey, here you go. Here's a projectile. And that was a 223 round that was loaded with a 77 grain Sierra Match King. And the Navy looked at it, tested it, liked the terminal ballistics, and adopted it. And that was the Mark 262. However, there was one thing they weren't crazy about, and that was the bullet didn't have a cannular on it, so it couldn't be crimped and sealed. So they sent this request back to Black Hills and like, hey, can you do something about this? Black Hills obliged, got with Sierra. They made the bullets, Black Hills loaded them, and sent it back to the Navy. And the Navy's like, perfect. And they designated it the Mark 262 Mod 1. All the old bullets that did not have the cannulars and were not crimped and sealed, which were primarily used for training and testing, were designated the Mark 262 Mod 0. I think we're starting to see a theme here, Mod 0, Mod 1, right? Okay, so how did it do out of the Mark 18? Well, it actually is coming out of the barrel anywhere between 2550 and 2600 feet per second. The average number seems to be 2580, 2585, somewhere in that range. However, that heavier bullet definitely made up for the lack of terminal performance in the 62 grain round. All right, so we talked about the history. We talked about the iterations of the Mark 18 and the ammo. How does it shoot? Well, I think it's time to go to the range and let's do some close quarter drills with it. All right, guys, so we're out at the range. We got the Mark 18 here. We're at about 7 yards. We're going to run this carbine and run it through some drills, kind of demonstrate how effective it is up close. So, a couple notes. I don't have IPSC targets, but we are going to be just kind of going off a high center chest hits. That's kind of our accuracy level. And then I was at dummy, and I left my shot timer at home. So my camera man is going to be giving me a standby threat. So, all right, so first up, it's going to be a bill drill. And I'm not going to lie, this is the first time I have actually run a bill drill with binary trigger on live fire. So we're gonna see how it goes. Alrighty. All right.
You ready?
Yep.
Threat.
All right, that wasn't bad. That wasn't bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 6. A little bit low. I was to the left, so I'm just gonna try that again. Make sure we got enough ammo. We're good. All right.
Shooter ready?
Yep.
Throw it.
There we go. That was a little better. A little bit better. All right. So that is the bill drill. All right, guys. So we just got done with the bill drill. Let's go ahead and do some Mozambique drills. We'll do a couple of those, see how she runs. All right. Go ahead and give it to me.
You ready?
Yep.
Stand by. Throw it.
Little low. Got him in the cheek. Brighten the CO Tech up a little bit. All right. Let's try that again. Yeah, I got 3 rounds left. All right.
Shooter ready?
Yep.
Stand by. Throw it.
A little low. All right, so that was our Mozambique, and we're gonna go ahead and load up a couple more mags, and let's do the El Pres next. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do a few El Pres reps. So 2, 2, 2, fast as we can. All right. Yep.
Shooter ready?
Yep.
Stand by. Throw it.
All right, that wasn't bad. A little slow, but let's see if we could go a little faster. All right.
Shooter ready? Stand by. Throw it.
Guess I had only 5 in that one. Let's go ahead and run one more.
Shooter ready?
Yep.
Stand by. Throw it.
There we go. All right, so did pretty darn good up close. Not surprised. That's what it was developed to do. It was light, handy, easy to transition between multiple threats. We can be pretty quick on the trigger. But the question that's plaguing me, how does she shoot at some distance? Let's go to 295 yards and 450 yards. Let's see how accurate this little rifle can be. All right, guys, so we are out at 295 yards. We got a steel target downrange that you're seeing somewhere over here, over my head. We have the Caldwell flashbang on it, so you'll be able to see impacts. Now, what we got here is 2 different magazines. We're gonna do this again at 500. Here, we got the standard off-the-shelf Winchester 62 grain M855 steel core. And then here, we got some off-the-shelf Frontier ammo that's loaded with some 75 grain Bowtail hollow points from Hornady. 2 different types of ammo, so no reloads, no fancy stuff. All right, let's see what our 62s are capable of. All right. There we go. There we go. Let the Caldwell die down. Oh, just high left. I pulled that. There we go. Oh, high. There we go. There we go. Oh, hold that. There we go. Oh, hold that. All right. Not bad for prone unsupported. Obviously, if it was supported, that would be better. All right, here's our 75s. Let's see how this goes. Should be about the same hold. Oh, just right. There we go. So those are dropping a little more. There we go. That tightened up right at the end. All right, guys, let's scoot out to 5. All right, guys, so same as before, only this time we were able to squeeze about 450 yards at our max distance here. Now, because we're showing the accuracy of what a short barrel rifle can do and really illustrating what the Mark 18's capable of, we're gonna really push this beyond like what is considered combat effective for this. So we're at 450. You know, not an impossible shot by any means with a gun with a red dot. Definitely a lot more challenging because you got a lot more holdovers. So just like before, got our 62s and we got our 75 Frontiers. So let's see what this old girl can do. Get some ears on, suppressed or not, suppressors are still loud. All right, here we go. Oh, just wow. You can definitely see the dispersion on these, that these are not match loads. There it is. This under. Got it, last shot. So we got 2 with the 62s. Not bad for non-match ammo. I'm actually impressed. All right, now a little bit nicer stuff. All right, move that mic a little closer. All right, here we go again. Low left. There it is. Got it again. Oh, that's right. There we go. Aha! Much better there with the 75s. Now, granted, like we kind of talked about in the history, the 77 grainers that they get issued with these things perform even better because those are CR Match Kings and those are awesome. So, all right, guys, that concludes the long distance part. So, let's get back to the room and let's talk about our overall thoughts about the Mark 18 and the performance today, shall we? Alrighty, so we're at the end of the video. We have just been through all the research and data that I was as able to humanly accurately collect, and now we're at the final question. What do I think of the Mark 18? Well, again, this is coming from a home defense type standpoint slash I was just a regular Army guy. I wasn't Special Forces. I wasn't a Navy SEAL, nothing like that. So I can only speak on that side of the experience. I like the gun. I think it's fantastic. I think it did its job very well. It's short, it's maneuverable, it's handy, fantastic for getting in and out of vehicles, which I can see why PSD teams really like these things. Law enforcement seem to like these things. It does its job. It did exactly what it was developed to do. I also think I was really impressed by the long range capability, and I fully 100% believe that this is a capable firearm all the way out to 500 yards. It did great. As long as it's loaded with good quality 75, 77 grain ammo, if you can get your hands on the Mark II 62 and a decent optic and you have trained with it and know what you're doing with it, it's a combat effective rifle. I think it's a fantastic combat arm, given what it's capable of doing. So there is a thing on the internet where everyone's like, well, actually 11.5 is way better, and you know, the Mark 18 and 8.10.3 guns useless. Man, I hate the internet. I'll agree with part of that statement, and I'm going to disagree with the other half of it. Yes, 11.5 you do get about a 30% increase in ballistics or in velocity. And anybody that knows ballistics knows that the velocity, if you got a better velocity on a gun, the more effective your bullet's going to be. That's just basic ballistics. However, after today's performance, 10.3, no, it's not useless. It is perfectly capable of working and doing what it needs to do 500 yards and in. You can effectively engage threats at that distance if you had to. Keep in mind, it wasn't intended to be a long-range gun, but it can work. Sometimes you have to use a wrench as a hammer. Now, just for the fun of it, I did compare ballistics between a Mark 262 round going at about 25-50, giving this the benefit of the doubt, compared it to a standard AK round. Results will surprise you. At 500 yards, the Mark 18 has a better terminal ballistic effect. It's got higher foot pounds. So if you talk to anybody that's been shot at by an AK, especially over like in Afghanistan where gunfights happen at 400, 500 meters, they'll tell you that it's still effective, it still will hurt you, and it's still terrifying. So will the Mark 18 work at those distances? Absolutely, it will. So that's it for today's video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe the video, get it out there, let people know what we're doing here. And if you guys want to see another video or have other questions, leave them down in the comments. Engage with me. So with that, guys, I'm Chris Smith from Marksmanship Past and Present. And remember, your right to self-defense is self-maintained. We'll see y'all in the next video.